Hi, Mr. Pebley.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Are you representing Mr. Dontel Terrell?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay. And is he in custody or you're not sure?
No, he's out. I spoke with him and his mother. They were talking about hiring an attorney.
Okay. Were they
There
going
he
to
is.
zoom
He's
in?
connecting.
He's zooming in right now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Ms. Ackerman, I'll be with you in just a second. Hang on. Mr. Van Lett, can you hear me? Or sorry, Mr. Terrell? No? It shows that he's trying to connect. Ms. Ackerman, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm Judge Sara Smolenski, and I have you in front of me on that domestic violence case with your sister's friend.
Yeah.
This goes back to June 13, and domestic violence is a misdemeanor. It's up to 93 days in jail, up to $500 fine, court costs on top of that. You talked to the prosecuting attorney about if you decided to plead to this charge, they'd recommend the first-time offender program that's like the Holmes Youthful Trainee status, where you'd be placed on probation for a period of time. And if you stayed clean, then there'd be no conviction on your record publicly. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you ever had a case like this before?
No.
Okay. Domestic violence is a criminal misdemeanor where you can plead guilty or not guilty. You can have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You can have an attorney represent you. But if you go forward on your own, Ms. Ackerman, it's just you and me talking about it. Then you won't have an attorney. You handle it yourself. Understood?
Yes.
If there was something you didn't agree with, you could appeal to the higher court. That's the circuit court. And you'd be given 21 days after being sentenced to appeal. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Okay. So when I'm going back to the date of this incident, June 13th, the decision that you have to make is whether you're guilty or not guilty of the domestic violence against this Cody Snow. So if you go back to June 13th, already 4 months ago, and ask yourself what happened, how do you want to plead to that domestic violence charge, the misdemeanor, under that first-time offender program?
I do plead guilty.
Are you pleading guilty because it's the truth? You hit him?
Yes. Yes.
Are you pleading guilty by your own decision, like nobody else is making you do it?
Right.
Like your family or your parents or your sister? Nobody's making you do this, or me?
Correct.
Okay. And your sister and Cody were a couple at the time?
Yes.
And they were in some kind of a verbal disagreement that wasn't going well? And it resulted with you intervening, and then out of frustration or anger, you struck Cody?
True.
Can you look back on this and realize that you handled it poorly from your perspective, even though your intent was to do the right thing?
For sure.
Because you don't want to get violence involved. And I'm not sitting here saying Cody's perfect, because he's sure not. And I'm sure he's got a lot of issues and a lot of problems, but this doesn't help at all for you to strike him. Do you get what I mean?
I totally understand.
Do you have kids?
I have a son.
How old?
He's 1.5.
4 and a half?
One and a half.
1.5. 1.5. Well, being a parent is your biggest job you'll ever have, no doubt. And what you want to do is bring him up, teaching him how to do things correctly, how to do the right thing, even when it's difficult. And you don't want him to be involved in any kind of violence like this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely understand.
So you got to be a better role model. You got to think through what you're doing, even though you think Cody was being a complete jerk, and maybe he was. It doesn't justify this action. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else you can think of that you want to say to me before I tell you the penalty? Not really?
No, I don't think so.
Are they still together as a couple?
No, they're not. And he doesn't reside at that address anymore.
Good, good. That's good. Well, it sounded dysfunctional, but there are people that have dysfunctional relationships. And I'm just saying, you're smarter than getting yourself involved in it like this. I'm not saying you can't verbally intervene, but the minute it becomes physically violent, then it's a problem. Do you get me?
I understand.
It's a 93-day suspended jail sentence where you get 2 days credit for jail and 91 days are held over your head. You don't serve any jail. You don't serve any more jail on this, but we watch you for 6 months under this first-time offender program called the Holmes Youthful Trainee Status. If you want that to work for you, you got to really be squeaky clean, which shouldn't be so difficult if you've never had criminal cases before. It's not like I sit here and think you're a criminal.
Right.
Just act smarter than you were. It's a $300 fine. Probation is $30 a month times 6 months. So for 6 months, say till October to, March next year, we just want you to be squeaky clean. No involvement with any criminal cases, any courtroom, anything like that. There's a $180 fee for the probation, $75 crime victims' right fee. It's a total of $555. You will get notification from your probation officer. Is the Casper address still good?
I have a different address now.
What do you go by?
2179 43rd Street.
Uh-huh.
43rd Street. Southeast.
Yep.
Grand Rapids.
Uh-huh.
Zip code 49508.
Okay. And it's not an apartment or anything, it's just 2179 43rd Street.
It's apartment F02.
Apartment F02.
Correct.
Okay. Well, you can expect to get paperwork in the mail. You can expect to talk to a probation officer at our court. It's going to be non-reporting. The bond money you had can be applied to what you owe. And then they may ask you to go through a counseling class just to get more advised about the whole situation with domestic violence so that you're never back in a court setting again. Okay?
Okay.
I really appreciate that you hooked up with the Zoom today, Ms. Ackerman. The court will be contacting you. If you don't hear anything in the next 10 days, call us.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Mr. Dontel, Terrell, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Judge Sara Smolenski. Earlier, before I was talking to that last woman, we were trying to see you trying to hook up, and it was taking a little bit of time for you to hook up. I had talked to Mr. Pebley. He's your attorney that's been appointed in this felony case. He's on Zoom with us now. And before I started talking to that other lady just now, Mr. Pebley indicated that he had spoken to you and your mother, and that there was some discussion that you guys might hire a lawyer.
No, not no more.
Not anymore?
No.
So Mr. Pebley, who I work with pretty much every day and for the last many, many years, has represented hundreds and thousands of people, knows what he's doing. I don't know how much time you guys got to talk, but the charge that's being made against you is carrying a concealed weapon, and they're talking about this pistol in the Jeep. They're talking about September 12, just say a month ago, just say about a month ago, 28th Street, Patterson. I always think of that as kind of on the way to the airport, but anyways, it's part of our jurisdiction. Today is the date they call the probable cause conference. It allows you to talk with your attorney, to discuss it with the prosecutor, to kind of see where you're at, whether you need to have a preliminary exam. The preliminary exam is set for next week. It's set for next week, Friday, the 23rd. I said Friday, but is today Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's next week, Friday at 9:30. Yeah. So have you recently had a chance to talk to Mr. Pebley about what you might want to do, or are you still thinking about it?
I think we need to do a breakout room.
Just the two of you?
Yes.
I talked to
Okay.
other attorneys,
Yeah.
and they said that the plea deal that I got was probably the best thing to do. And I was thinking
Yeah,
about taking
and
the
I
plea
don't know
deal.
what the plea deal is, but the prosecutor's here and he can talk about it too further. We'll put you in a breakout room, Mr. Terrell, then you and Mr. Pebley can talk about whether you want to consider that offer and waive the prelim, or whether you want to put this on for next week. Just take a few minutes. I got some other cases I'm going to be talking to. You guys will be back with you. Mr. Pebley?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You bet. Mr. Abuxia, what case did you have?
I'm just here on the Zachary Van Lett, Your Honor. I have a couple of pretrial conferences with him. It appears
Oh, yeah.
he's scheduled for a preliminary examination as well.
Right. Marcus Schmiel is out here in person, and he's representing Mr. Van Lett, I believe, on the felony cases.
Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Schmiel was in the courtroom. He's not right now, but he was a few minutes ago. And he had indicated that he has made efforts to get a hold of Mr. Van Lett, but he has been completely unsuccessful. And he felt that it's very possible we wouldn't hear from Mr. Van Lett today. Have you had any success or any opportunity to have contact with Mr. Van Lett recently?
I have not, Your Honor. The only phone numbers I have are from the police report, and I've tried the
Okay.
phone numbers associated
And
with
you've
that.
been unsuccessful as well?
Correct.
Okay, well, let me just identify the two pretrials you had. File 20-01297, a retail fraud second that they were alleging was at the American Gas and Oil in Sparta. They're talking about the date of that offense, May 8, 2020. The other case was September 15th, just say a month ago, and it was at the Family Fair gas station in Cascade. That was September 15th. They're both charged as retail fraud seconds. So because the defendant has failed to appear for the pretrials today, or has failed to contact you or the court, we have had no contact with our court, I'm going to do a $500 cash bench warrant on each of those misdemeanors. So if you find out anything, or in talking to your colleague, Mr. Schmiel, you hear anything, let us know. Because on the two felony cases, I'm going to be doing a bench warrant as well, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so thanks for your courtesy. It was set for 9:15. It's almost 9:30, but if we hear anything, we'll let you know. If you hear anything from Mr. Van Lett, just like you email Amanda, let us know.
Sounds good, Your Honor. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Abuxia. Okay, and Mr. Tarango, on the Eric Daly case with attorney Sean Perry, we got word from her yesterday that she was waiving that prelim and Mr. Daly was gonna waive that prelim. Is that what you heard as well, Mr. Tarango?
I didn't even know that much, Your Honor.
Oh. We actually got paperwork yesterday on the waiver and the arraignment of the circuit court arraignment waiver, but actually Ms. Perry represents him on a separate felony that already has occurred and gone on to bind over. And so we were getting a little bit mixed up with the paperwork we got, because the paperwork we got yesterday was duplicative of the old case. So yesterday, we sent the prelim waiver and the arraignment waiver to her on this current armed robbery case, D20-02529, and we're just awaiting the paperwork back. But I'll wait till 9:30, see if anybody zooms in. I'm really not expecting them to. And I would just put the waiver on the record from her verbal communications to our court.
Okay.
But I would have thought that you would have heard something.
Just to let you know, I do have two witnesses here for the Vinlet scheduled prelim.
Okay. Okay. And those are from various retail establishments?
One of them is the loss prevention officer from Target, and the other one is an officer that arrested Mr.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'm just going to wait about another 5 to 10 minutes before I call that one on the felony, because it was set, oh, it was 9:15. Yeah, we're good then. Let me do this. I'll put on the record the two cases that are felonies with Mr. Zachary Van Lett, retail fraud first degree from the Target, August 14 this summer, as well as D20-02441FY, a retail fraud first degree from the Cascade Meyer, May 17, 2020. There is a phone that's connected with us on a Galaxy. Is anybody hearing me right now? On the phone that's, yeah, what's your last name?
Knight, the K.
Knight with a K? Your audio is kind of coming in and out. Give me 1 second, Mr. Knight. Mr.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Schmiel, I've been talking with Attorney Abuxia, who had both misdemeanor cases with Zachary Van Lett, 2 retail fraud seconds. He's had absolutely no connection with them and has made a lot of efforts from all the phone numbers that were listed. And then we have Attorney Tarango here on the 2 felonies that you have representing Mr. Zachary Van Lett, the retail fraud first degrees from Target and from the Meyer and Cascade. Since it was set at 9:15 and it's now 9:30, I'm just going to put down that the defendant failed to appear for both prelims on the felonies, and I'm going to ask for a $1,000 cash bench warrant on each of the 2 felonies. On the misdemeanors, they were $500 cash bench warrants. So total is $3,000 if he's picked up. Just let us know if you hear anything, if you find out anything, and we'll take it from there. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Schmiel. Mr. Knight, tell me your first name. With the person that's got the telephone number that looks like 993-912-2032, the guy sitting in the car with the glasses on and the gray hoodie sweatshirt, glasses, mustache.
Yes, sir.
Is that, are you Mr. Knight?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, what case are you zooming in on? Is it your own or someone else's?
I'm on my case, my first offense, drunk driving.
Was the drunk driving your case?
Yes.
Okay, and what is your first name, Mr. Knight?
Dennis.
Okay. We got to look up who you're wanting to talk to, because I think you might be in the wrong Zoom room.
Yeah, this is what I got in the mail.
Okay.
It says Judge O'Hara.
Yeah, that's why you're in the wrong courtroom. Let me just give you.
They rescheduled it to 11:23,
Okay.
2 o'clock.
Mr. Knight, do you have an attorney or are you handling it yourself? Our audio is really breaking up. I cannot hear you.
I have an attorney, but I don't know who it is.
Okay.
Because
number
I was in rehab.
Is the 993 number that's showing up, is that the phone you're on right now?
I'm on a different number. I might be on my text talk, and I'm not sure what that number is.
Okay, because I was thinking, I hear you a little better now.
I couldn't hear you with my new phone. It wasn't, I couldn't hear no audio, so I went on my other phone. It's a cheaper phone.
Yep. Is your number the 726 number that I could call you on right now? Mr. Knight, they've rescheduled your appointment for November 23, what time? At 2 p.m. Okay, we're back with Mr. Terrell and Mr. Pebley on the case that's D20-02504FY. What are you thinking about on this case, Mr. Pebley?
My client wants to waive the preliminary exam to preserve
Yep.
the plea offer.
Okay. And what is the plea offer, Mr. Tarango?
Your Honor, on Mr. Doncho Terrell Jr., the offer is as charged with no objection to HIDA if he qualifies, but forfeiture of the weapon.
Okay. So, Mr. Terrell, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
If you waive your preliminary exam, there's no testimony taken today. The case is going to move on to circuit court. Circuit court is the next higher court than where we are. We still enter a plea of not guilty for you. And there are two documents that we're going to have sent to Mr. Pebley that he'll, if you give him permission, he'll sign on your behalf. One is the waiver of the prelim, moving this case to circuit court with the plea offer preserved, but you guys will still talk further and you'll still negotiate further. Mm-hmm. And the second document is called the waiver of the circuit court arraignment, which means you don't go in front of the circuit judge. They allow me to say not guilty for you. Understood?
Yes.
Do you give Mr. Pebley authority to sign those two documents?
Yes.
So really what you're going to want to do, Mr. Terrell, is stay in contact with Attorney Don Pebley, because he'll be notified when your case is set up downtown, probably within the next 6 weeks.
All right.
And really, you may do it again by Zoom. It may be just like this. It may be just like this, and you don't physically go to the building. I'm not positive. That's why you stay in contact with him, because this COVID thing is changing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then today we just say not guilty on the charged offense with the CCW, and you just keep contacting your attorney. If something comes up, like a question or a concern, that's who you'd call, Mr. Pebley. Okay?
Yes.
Mr. Pebley, my clerk will email you those two documents, the waiver of the preliminary exam and the waiver of the circuit court arraignment. Okay? If you'd get those back to us today, I would appreciate that.
Yep, I'll do that.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Terrell,
you,
you're
Your
free to
Honor.
disconnect now. Thank you for connecting.
All right.
All right. Mr. Dennis Knight, are you still there?
Yes.
Your appointment has been changed to November 23 at 2 p.m. That is what I am being told. And it would be with Judge O'Hara. I can give you a telephone number.
Okay.
I can give you a telephone number if you have further questions.
Can I have that number, please?
Actually, they're saying it's scheduled with me, so it's the same number that you just zoomed in on. Why don't we
Okay,
just
and
see-
that's gonna be
Hold-
November
hold-
23rd?
Yeah, but did you say you do have an attorney?
Yeah, I just looked on my paper and it says Christopher Becker.
Oh, that's the prosecutor. That's the prosecutor. Chris Becker is the prosecutor. I think the public defender's office is
Okay,
representing you. You're represented by the public defender, and we'll make sure they get a hold of you. Let me give you their number. Do you have a pen? 774-8181. Okay?
I'm working full time. I'm still driving until I go to November 23rd, right?
I'm so sorry, your audio was so broken up, I could only catch the end of it, that you work full-time? What was the question? He looks like he's gone now.
I'm keep coming in and out. So I can still drive with this paper back and forth to work.
Yes, and just call your attorney.
Okay, I'm gonna call my attorney right now.
Exactly, thank you.
Okay, you have a blessed day, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, peace, you bet, bye-bye.
All right.
Is it Mr. Mitchell Jenks? Mr. Pebley, are you representing Mr. Jenks?
I am, Your Honor.
Have you had any opportunity to get a hold of him?
No, he's never responded to me, and
They're
This is
telling me
what-
that he's in custody right now. Do you know if it's Kent County?
I checked, and
Do we
he
have
wasn't in.
Jenks
His
here, do you
father,
know? We don't have
his
anybody here by the
father
name of
was
Jenks.
in,
Jenks?
Michael Jenks.
Jenks. He's here. He's physically in our building. They're going to bring him into the courtroom. You can bring him in.
Okay,
Mr. Fifield will be with you in a minute. You're represented by Mr. Obande?
Yes. Yes.
Where's Mr. Obande?
He should be along any minute.
Okay, that's fine. We're not rushing.
Your Honor, on the, I have Deputy Austin Potter on standby on the Zoom room.
On the Van Lett matter, you can release your witnesses. Mr. Tarango, on the Van Lett, you can
Thank you,
release your
Donna.
witnesses? Yeah,
All right, I've got Deputy Potter on where he went. He's on the Jenks matter.
Deputy Porter is on the Jenks matter?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Mr. Pebley, I've got Mitchell Jenks here at the Kent County Jail. He's at our court. They brought him out today. Mr. Jenks, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski. We've been trying to figure out where you've been for a while because we have not had a good time trying to keep tabs of you. How long you been in custody? Ballpark.
About three and a half weeks, I think.
He's been in custody, he thinks around 3.5 weeks, Mr. Pebley.
yeah,
Mr.
that's
Pebley.
weird, because I've checked the jail screen a couple of different
Has it always been
times.
at Kent County? Have you been at Kent County the whole time or different jails? Just Kent County? Yeah, he said he's been in Kent County the whole time, about 3 weeks or 3.5. Mr. Schmiel was out here a minute ago. I don't know if he's still here. He left? Oh. I was thinking it would be helpful if he spoke to, Here's what I think we'll try to do. Is there a phone in that room? No.
No.
Like a phone where he could talk to Mr. Pebley privately? Yeah, we're in
Can
a
I get
little
a-
bit of a, go ahead.
Can I get a phone number from him? Because I had 3 and none of them work.
Okay, let's just see what we've got. Can you go off live? I don't want you to.